What's up, guys? Bones88 here, and as you see, I have my good friend VeiledShot here today. We're going to try to do a maybe monthly thing, maybe every 2 weeks, a week. It just depends how this goes. Where we talk about 6 subjects, and 3 of them will be on VeiledShot's channel, 3 on mine. We were talking about the last 3 here. If you missed the first 3, make sure you go over to VeiledShot's YouTube channel, and you will find that there. So, Veiled, first up here is we're going to talk about real-time arena and guild versus guild. So, a little bit's been teased. We don't know a lot about it. What's your take on it? When do you think it's going to be? What do you think it will be? And what's your overall opinion about it?
So, I'm going to say unofficial confirmation is going to come in May. So, it is going to come next month. That's what they said in the post. So it's going to be coming in May, most likely. Again, I wouldn't hold them to that 100%.
Yep.
But they did post the video, and I've heard some other things. But I think it's going to be super fun. I think the big thing for this, for me, especially as a content creator, this is a huge step in the health and longevity of the game, as long as they do it right. And there's a few things I think that go into doing RTA right. But it's a huge drive for people to spend money. It's a huge drive for whales to keep playing the game. It's a huge drive for anyone that's interested in playing the game for a long term. Guild versus environment, RTA, things like that. You want to get your guild, kind of boosted up. You want to top the leaderboards. You want to top the leaderboards on RTA. It's just overall a great feature for both PvE and PvP players. Because I don't know about you, I'm a PvE player myself. I generally don't steer into RTA, into arena and things like that. I love the bosses, the dungeons, and I'm really excited for guild versus environment, actually, more so than RTA here.
Same here, man. I agree completely. I'm a PvE guy. I also content creator, but I don't do arena much, and all my friends in the chat they give me crap about it because I'll stay like in gold and stuff because I just don't want to do it. I've played Marvel Strike Force, and they have an RTA in there, and the way that the devs have described it for this game, it's kind of a copy of that, and it's fun if you're playing against like a fringe, or something. But if you're just forced to be, if you're forced to play it against someone you don't care about, or if it's just a daily, it's really not fun. It's really a niche mode that you just want to play sometimes. That's my fear of it. Is I think we're gonna have fun with it at first. We're going to be doing streams where we're playing people in the chat and other content creators. But after that, it kind of just falls off. And I hope it doesn't do that. I don't know what I would recommend for them that not to happen. But when it's a mode that they force you to play because they made it, I hope it doesn't do that, because that was the fate of RTA and Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah, there's actually RTA and Guild versus Environment, this is like the huge content drop probably of the year.
Yes.
Raid still doesn't have it, and it's been going 3 years. Summoner's War, that's what's kept Summoner's War alive. I don't know if you played that game. I used to follow the esports scene for that. There's actually a huge player base. But there's 2 things I want to mention here and get your thoughts on, and I'll give my thoughts as well. But first thing is, what kind of rewards are we looking for in RTA and Guild versus Environment? Are we wanting like value rewards and like, okay, we get pumpkins, we get, potions like legendary or epic arcanas? Are we wanting legendary shards? Like maybe put, a Blackhorn, for example, in the shop and you buy shards for it. Or are we wanting like more cosmetic things and keep the real rewards and the value rewards for Guild versus Environment, so that people aren't feeling bad that they can't climb to the high stages? And the second thing is, are you gonna want a kind of challenge type mode in the RTA where you're able to challenge people? And me personally, that's like the biggest thing for RTA that I want. I'd want to be able to, face off against viewers and have them destroy me. Or vice versa,
Yeah, same here. That's what I'm most excited about. And I think it's going to be that. And when you're saying, like, what would the rewards be? I want to lean towards cosmetic. Because I just feel like if you're putting pumpkins in on there, where would you limit it at every day? Like, would you make it to where you can only do so many fights a day? That's why I don't think in Strike Force, they don't reward you very much for doing it. That's another thing that sucks about it. So I'm very interested how they're going to handle it. Are they just going to handle it the same? Hopefully not. Since it's one of their big content drops, like you're saying, I really hope that they do it in a unique way that makes us all want to engage it every day. you know. But you're right. I'm also looking forward to being able to challenge you or my friends in the chat or anything. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you can sit there on stream for hours doing that. And I did that with Strike Force, and it was a blast. It was. But outside of that, will it hold? You know? Do you think it'll hold outside of that?
Here's the thing. I think it really depends. I think guaranteed 50 to 60% of the player base, just from my experience and the comments I've gotten, are not even going to engage in the game mode unless like it's got really good rewards.
Yep.
So they're not even going to try. They're just going to be like, it's just another arena game mode. I don't care.
Yep.
Maybe 10% of the people are going to climb. They're going to try based on what I've seen. Again, those are the people who spend money. They got the Orions, they got the Dark Nyx, they got the really good characters, the good gear, and they spend money. They're going to try to climb. And then there's like that middling ground, maybe 30% of the players that will play the game mode every day, and they want to do it, but they're not going to climb. They're just doing it for fun. I think that it really depends. Like, I'm not sure if I want them to give really good rewards, but I do think it should be rewarding, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not sure what the reward structure should be, but I think there should be incentives for people to do it. I don't know where the cutoff point is.
Yeah, I think obviously some skins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, skins 100%. I agree with that 100%. I think that give the rank, I don't know, top 10 an exclusive skin that only they can get or whatever. That seems cool to me. I don't really care. But give skins throughout the tiers, or in like Summer's War, what they do is they give like character flair. So like they have like wings and stuff that you can put on your characters. Something like that I think is going to be an awesome idea. So I agree with that 100%.
And then maybe like, you know, there's going to be a store connected to it. You just know there's going to be. So maybe an exclusive character that you can only get if you farm shards out of there with your currency or something like that. You can't get anywhere else, because that's going to make you... I kind
of like that idea.
It's going to make you do it. And then maybe after, like, let's say a year, you put a new character in there. And just, you know, after like every year, and maybe you can just, once you take one out, you can throw them into the summons. So you can get them through summons if you want, and just rotate it like every year or 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, I think especially in guild versus environment, I'm not sure what it's going to be like, obviously, but I think that's the perfect game mode to put in a character and have people go ahead and, okay, you get more shards based on how progressed you are. From what I've heard, it's going to be sort of like a labyrinth type mode from Summoner's War. You said you didn't play that game, but it's kind of like where you have a bunch of different paths to different bosses, and you could kind of tell people in your guild, okay, go this way or go that way. You could kind of team up to make sure you clear the whole thing. And that seems really cool to me. So definitely going to want to manage guilds. If you are, your guild leaders out there, your people who are more invested in the game, get in a good guild, start getting that level up, because there is a level in the guilds right now. It's to level 5, I believe, is the max. Get them to level 5. It'll probably matter when Guild versus Environment comes out. Make sure you're on top of that, because I think it'll matter if you want to get a head start on the rewards and things.
Most definitely. So do you think it'll be more like a territory battle in Galaxy of Heroes or territory wars?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. So I think it'll be much more like a territory battle, where you're going through the waves and you have to make sure that you're assigning the proper squads to the proper regions, things like that. I think it's definitely going to be more like a territory battle.
It'll be interesting because guild versus guild means so many different things in so many games, right? I'm sorry, but raid is the worst thing I'd ever heard of.
Oh, absolutely.
You know how pumped I was? I was in Jay Giggs's guild, and I had a lot of good friends in there. I was excited to go against the guilds and everything, and they released what it was. I was so mad. Like, everyone else was too, but come on, what is that, you know? So
yeah,
hopefully
people
it's not
celebrate. That. They're like, I won clan versus clan. I'm like, okay. Like, there's nothing there. There's no strategy, in my opinion. It's just like, oh, it's so bad. I hated it.
Good job. You spent more than the other guild. That's exactly what it was.
Oh, I hated it.
And I wish people would have boycotted that. That was one of the most stupidest things I've ever seen in a game. But yeah, we'll move on from that. But that's a huge subject. It's interesting what's to come. And if Veiled gives you a date, it's probably pretty sure it'll come out in May, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's early May. I think it's mid-May is kind of what the idea there is. And obviously, this is kind of backed up by the official post they post in the Discord. Yeah. So unless they get delayed, that's what you should be planning for. About mid-May, maybe mid to late May. So.
And that's what I was thinking anyways, because they're working hard on it. They're ready to get it out because people are getting bored. People are already quitting and all that stuff. So they've got to get that out quick if they want to do that. So, all right, moving on. So let's talk about just the devs, the patches they've been releasing. What do you think? How do you think they've been doing? You know, like, how do you think how do you think they're handling things in the game and just the game in general? How do you think it's going?
Yeah, so I don't know about you. This is one of the topics that I really liked here. Obviously, the other ones are obviously just about the game, but this one is something that I think a lot of people underrate or don't talk about enough. You've played a lot of games. You've seen the kind of paths that a lot of the developers / patches come out. When I played Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the patches came out, I don't know, you'd have a new content drop like every couple of weeks. There'd be something that you could make a video on. If you played Raid, it'd be like every 6 months, a new patch notes would come out. If you played, I don't know, Summoners Wars every couple of months. If you played Marvel Strike Force, I don't know how often that game updated, but
quite a bit.
This is the only game where I've seen it do weekly patch notes in a mobile game.
Yeah.
That I've played at least.
I agree.
And as a content creator, as a player, I think it's the best way to handle things, even if it's small. Logging on every Thursday or every Wednesday, wherever you are, logging on, going into YouTube or going to the Discord, checking out the patch notes, logging into the game, seeing what's new with the game. It makes you log in. You're excited because you know there's something going to come out. You don't know what it is. You don't know how big it's going to be, or even if it's worth logging in for. But you want to know because, I mean, obviously, if you enjoy the game, you're going to want to know. Whereas if you play Raid, you play those other games, you're like, well, there's nothing going to be new for another 6 months or whatever. Obviously, they have their regular events and things like that, but nothing like patch notes, no balance changes, no game shaking up. Like, obviously, there's been a few patch notes where they've completely nerfed and buffed a ton of characters, where it's completely shaken up all the comps in arena or dungeons and things like that. So, I think it's super exciting to see that, and I love it. It's one of my favorite things about this game, actually.
This game is awesome. First of all, like it still has its little problems. I think there's some balance issues that they could fix, but my complaints are very minuscule. I mean, the way this game was released, there's a lot of stuff to do. Like, overall, nothing's changed. There's a lot of stuff to do. So even though the whales are getting bored and all that, there's still so much to do. I'm sitting there there's still too much for me to do. I don't have enough time in the day to do everything, you know. So, and then going into what you're saying, they handle things so well. They're always fixing bugs. They do it as fast as they can. I mean, they're still human. People forget that devs are human too, you know. Sometimes they forget. But, you know, like you said, I've seen decisions made by Raid developers, by Galaxy of Heroes developers, Marvel Strike Force, some really bad, greedy decisions. And these devs don't really make that. People freak out over nerfs. I get it. No one wants to see anything nerfed. But if you play these other games that I've played, like, it's so minuscule, the things that they do. And it's always usually a positive. If they're nerfing something, it's usually something that's broken or needs fixed. We may not like it.
Let me ask you one thing. How do you feel about the recall feature? Because I've played lots of games. I've heard people say that Epic 7 has a feature like that. But every game that I've played, it's always a pipe dream. Like, oh, you know, they changed someone in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Let's give our resources. Like Darth Vader, for example, was a character that they changed and is no longer viable against some of the top teams from when I played. And everyone's like, okay, well, it would be awesome if you could just get all your resources back. But it's always like, oh, that's never going to happen. We'll just talk about it. And until that happens, nerfing's not okay. But this game has it.
Yeah. I mean, they answered, like, you can't complain about it anymore. They have let you, if you want the choice, to do it. Now, they had a little, they had the wrong promotion of it going on whenever you're doing this, because it was kind of an exploit. But besides that, they killed it where people can't exploit it by giving it, a week. I don't know what the timer was, but a week or something. But I mean, they really just gave something you can't complain about. I don't know. I mean, does it suck that someone gets nerfed? Yes, but now you get stuff back to take someone to 6-star. You know what I mean? So I think they did a good job with that. And like with Galaxy of Heroes, I guess it's cool if they give you stuff back, but somehow the way they'd handle things, it just wasn't consistent. If they decided they'd give you stuff back, then they would. Sometimes they wouldn't. I don't know. But I think it's a positive. I think they did it better than most. I honestly haven't been in very many games that have given that choice to me. so I guess I'm just not used to it. So what did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I've not played another game that has had this type of feature. It's always been that like unrealistic type. Like even when I'll be honest, when I started playing this game, I've been playing since soft launch, the day two. And when I was streaming back then, and they would do a nerf or whatever, like when they did the Nathalia change and the William nerf, people were like, "Oh, this is garbage." Or Charles nerf as well. I don't know if you were playing during that time, but people were talking so much like, "Oh, Charles is dead. Like I can't believe they've nerfed one of the best elites in the game." Like for one, he's still one of the best elites in the game and still super strong.
Yep.
But two, it's like we are all talking about, oh, they should give a recall feature. Turns out 2 months later, here it is in the game. Here's the recall feature. And in my opinion, I think they could I mean, obviously there's some health to the game, so they shouldn't nerf whatever they want. But
right.
I think they could do nerfs much more freely and more buffs much more freely, and it allows the game to be much more fluid and more exciting with a lot of changes, because people are free to go ahead and, okay, well, they nerf this character, they buff this character, let's swap our resources over, or let's try this out, because you have the freedom to do that now. I think that's super healthy for a game. I think it's super fun too, actually.
Yeah, I can't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. So, I mean, they're doing a great job. I don't have too much to complain about. There's, like I said, they're all little things that they just need to fix.
Yeah.
And I think they'll get to all that eventually. But they're worried about bigger fish. They're bigger fish to fry for them. So, anything else you want to say about that part of it?
No, I think our last topic kind of is the next step in regards to what I think about the devs and the patches.
Yeah, this kind of leads into it. So, what we think is to come. So obviously we know RTA and guild versus guilds coming. What do you think lies beyond that, though?
So there's the first thing that comes to mind, obviously. If you go into the tab, into the dungeons tab in the game, you go to the proving gate, there's a coming soon option. Now, whether that's the RTA, I doubt it will be. I'm sure it's going to be in the arena menu. It's not going to be the guild versus environment, because that's going to be in the guild menu. So there's obviously something that's going to be perhaps similar to the endless trial game mode, or maybe something different. It's got the same icon. It's got the same menu. I don't know if that's going to come. There's also the coming soon under the bounty hunt. If you go to the bounty hunt, there's the one banner over there. So obviously we could speculate all day. The things that I personally would want, there's a couple things. And you played Raid. I don't know how you feel about Faction Wars, but I absolutely love it. I think it's the best game mode in Raid, and it makes me so excited to build out all these garbage characters and try them out in this Faction Wars game mode and see if they can work. It gives a lot more characters more use. I think that's my most wanted game mode, to be honest, and I'm not sure if they're going to add it, but I hope that they do. That's my personal most wanted game mode in the game right now.
I didn't even think about that. That's actually a genius idea, and that might be where they go next with it, because that makes you spend resources, aka money, when it adds up, to building up those crappier characters. That's really a great idea, and I can't believe I never thought about that, but they would be crazy not to do that next. That's so much content. That gives you so much to work for. That makes a lot of sense. Mine's not as juicy or as good as yours is, but I just want a grand arena. I know it's a different type. I know it's a different type different type of game, but it still works the same. And instead of taking 45 minutes for a grand arena, this style of game is much more fast paced than Star Wars is, Galaxy of Heroes. So I think a grand arena would only last 15 or 20 minutes. It's not a big deal to you, and it would be really fun. It would be competitive. It would make you want to have a better overall roster, just like Faction Wars would do. It would make you want to work on the depth of your roster and not just the next best thing that you have.
Yeah, having a PvP game mode where you have to set your defenses and kind of flush out some teams, and then also go on offense, but you can't use those defensive characters on offense. So making sure you have that proper strategy, having that 1 versus 1 type game mode where you're fighting against other players, I think it's super, super fun. And as you said, I think the critical thing that this game is missing, it kind of is 2 parts to this. Is one, I'd love to see more characters. So there's not too much variety in the game right now. And again, since there's not too much variety in the game, you don't have a lot of characters that you're seeing. There's not really a use for them. You're going to be running your Ashe, your Queen comp. Those are the 2 most important dungeons. for PvE content, well, you're going to be using your Zatluxes, your Hackrins, your Nathalias. That's all you're ever going to see. You're not going to see these niche units, maybe like, I don't know, like, oh, what's a good example? Like a Thomas, I guess. Or maybe if you wanted to use a Goo Bag, you're not going to see that anywhere. Or Desmond even has kind of fallen off use. You're not going to see any of these characters anywhere because there's no use for them. You're going to use the same characters. I'd love to see, maybe if we have the faction wars, if we have the PvP Grand Arena type game modes, you might see a Goobag built out. You might have to run him, and Chrysis, he might be one of the best factions, the best legendaries you could have to get that game mode completed, or one of the best catch, defenses in the game. Where, like, I didn't plan for this. It's actually a really strong kind of second tier or third tier defensive team or something like that. I think it's super fun to have those types of game modes and build out your roster.
And the problem that these types of games have is not having enough content for the number of characters, like you said.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that.
So Grand Arena is what has kept Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes alive for this long, because it's the only content in the game that keeps it just goes as high as the next player does, so it keeps players around. Otherwise that game would have been dead years ago. So if you want a magic mode that will just keep people around, that mode by itself. And so the magic thing is like having enough content for all your characters. And the two modes we just named are actually the two best modes they could bring to the game and to keep up for the longevity of the game.
Yeah, that's the number one problem I have with Raid, right? Like, I played Raid. I actually stopped pretty much cold turkey after this game came out. I come back to it like every once in a while for sponsors and stuff like that, but I don't really play the game anymore. And the big reason is month by month, you'd be getting these fusion legendaries. Like, oh, I get the next legendary. Where are you going to be using them? Yep. There's no new content. There's literally haven't been a new content update besides Hydra, and that's a game mode that takes hours and not like fun. And so there's not really any like auditable game mode that you want to build for in that game. You're getting all these new characters, which is awesome, but without having a game mode or something to actually use your characters, all you're doing is having a collection, right? And that appeals to some people, but to me, I don't really want to build a character if I don't have a use for them. That's just, it just feels bad.
Yep, I agree. I mean, like, we don't have very many healers, right? But we don't need any more healers because the 3 or 4 that we have do everything you need in the entire game. But if you have a Grand Arena, or you might need 8 because you have all these teams split up that you want, for different things. So yeah, it just opens up what they can do. It opens up what we can do as a player and all that stuff. So yeah, I hope both those come after these other modes. That would be awesome. Anything else you want to say, buddy?
I think that's pretty much it. I guess in regards to this, RTA and Guild versus Environment are going to help with that kind of content dump. They're going to help keep players around. But personally, the two game modes that we mentioned are definitely my number 1 and 2 in regards to future content. I really want to see the faction wars, but excited for RTA, excited for Guild versus Environment. I think this game is going in a great direction, and honestly, I've not seen a game this promising in a long time.
So yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore, man. So that's about it, guys. This is the first rendition of To Be Named Soon. We haven't came up with a name for this yet, but we will be back again doing this here in a few weeks. So once some good juicy stuff to talk about comes out. But
we'll have to figure out a name and put it in the title after the fact.
also anyone that has an idea, let us know down below or something, or in our Discords, because I'm open up to anything.
Yeah, we'll have to do some some ace memes or
for
something.
Sure. Yeah, we got to start doing that too. Yep, it'll evolve. It'll get better. But this is our first time. We're trying things out here. Anyways, guys, this is VeiledShot. If you don't know about him, get to know him. Go to YouTube, VeiledShot. He also streams a lot. He is, to me, the guy to go to for all your in-game kind of needs. If you have some questions, go check him out. Super nice guy. Love watching his Twitches too. Fun streams. So, with that being said, Veiled, thank you so much for coming by, man. And I will see you next time, brother.
All right, thanks for having me. It was a fun time.